Pranamami Shachi Sutta Gauravaram Pranamami Shachi Sutta Gauravaram Pranamami Shachi Sutta Nava Premayutam Navanita Sucham Nava Veshakritam Nava Premarasam Navadha Vilasat Shubha Premamayam Pranamami Shachi Sutta Gauravaram Hari Bhakti Param Hari Namadharam Karajapya Karam Hari Nama Param Hari Nayane Satatam Pranayashrudharam Pranamami Shachi Sutta Gauravaram Satatam Janata Bhavatapaharam Paramartha Parayana Lokagatim Satatam Janata Bhava Navaleha Karam Jagatapaharam Pranamami Shachi Sutta Gauravaram Nija Bhakti Karam Priya Charutaram Natanartana Nagara Rajakulam Nija Kulakamini Manasalasya Karam Pranamami Shachi Sutta Gauravaram Karatalavalam Kalakantaravam Mruduvadya Suvinikaya Madhuram Karatala Nija Bhakti Gunavrita Natyakaram Pranamami Shachi Sutta Gauravaram Yuga Dharmayutam Punarnandasutam Dharani Suchitram Bhava Bhavochitam Yuga Dharmayutam Punarnandasutam Tanudhyanachitam Nijavasayutam Pranamami Shachi Sutta Gauravaram Harunam nayanam charanam vasanam vadane skhalitam swakanamadharam arunam kurute surasam jagata जीवनं प्रणमामि शची सुत गौरवरम् प्रणमामि शची सुत गौरवरम् प्रणमामि शची सुत गौरवरम् प्रणमामि प्रणमामि शची सुत गौरवरं प्रणमामि शची सुत गौरवरं प्रणमामि शची सुत गौरवरं प्रणमामि शची सुत गौरवरं प्रणमामि शची श्री सची सुताष्टकम की जय. You can read the translation.
His complexion is hue of fresh cream tinged with kumkum. He is ever fresh bluebird who shoots arrow of newly blossomed flowers. He bears newer and newer moods of emotional ecstasies. He is fond of performing novel dances. He makes ever new jokes and causes much laughter. His brilliant luster is like freshly cast gold.
Cast gold అంటే ఏంది? What is the meaning cast gold?
Gold.
పురుషోత్తం ప్రభు?
It is raw gold. Raw gold.
ఏంది?
Raw.
Cast gold matlab
క్యాస్ట్ గోల్డ్ అంటే ఏంటి?
It is like a caster.
మూసలో పోయడం గోల్డ్ని మూసలో పూస్తే దాన్ని కాస్టింగ్ అంటారు. సో గోల్డ్ని కరిగించి సో you will melt the mold, you will melt the gold and then put it in one shape. So that is
cast gold.
Yeah.
I bow down to Gaura, the beautiful son of Mother Sachi.
He is endowed with ever fresh love of Godhead. His radiant luster is like the color of fresh butter. His fresh attire is arranged in ever new fashions. He relishes ever new mellows of love for Krishna. He shines in ninefold new ways while executing the ninefold process of devotion. He is permeated with a most permeated with a most auspicious loving nature. I bow down to Gaura, the beautiful son of Mother Sachi.
So permeated means is spread across, is seeped into, like that.
He is so absorbed in devotion to Sri Hari. He maintains the chanting of the names of Hari. While chanting, he counts the holy names on the fingers of his hands. He is addicted to the name of Hari. He is always has tears of love welling in his eyes. I bow down to Gaura, the beautiful son of Mother Sachi.
He is always removing the suffering of material existence for mankind. He is the goal of life for persons who are dedicated to their supreme interest. He inspires men to become honeybees eager for the honey of Krishna Prema. He removes the burning fever of the material world. I bow down to Gaura, the beautiful son of Mother Sachi.
He who motivates pure devotion unto himself, who is most attractive to his beloved servitors. By his dramatic dancing, he exhibits the characteristics of the king of paramours. He causes the minds of beautiful young village women to dance. I bow down to Gaura, the beautiful son of Mother Sachi.
He plays karatals as his throat emits sweet melodious sounds, and the vibrant notes of the veena are softly played. He thus inspires the devotees to perform dramatic dancing that infused with aspects of his own devotional service. I bow down to Gaura, the beautiful son of Mother Sachi.
He is accompanied by the Sankirtana movement. It is the religious practice from the age of Kali. He is the son of Nanda Maharaj, come again. He is the extraordinarily brilliant ornament of the earth. His preaching mode is suitably adapted to the cycle of birth and death. His consciousness is fixed in meditation on his own form of Krishna. He is always accompanied by his transcendental abode. I bow down to Gaura, the beautiful son of Mother Sachi.
His eyes the soles of his feet, and his clothing are reddish like the color that heralds the rising sun. As he utters his own names, his voice falters. He awakens a sweet flavor to life throughout the universe. I bow down to Gaura, the beautiful son of Mother Sachi.
Hari Bo. You will give me that, Prabhu? Shloka open this. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye Nashtaprayeshva Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavatyuttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nanda Gopakumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha Namah Pankajanabhaya Namah Pankajamaline Namah Pankajanetraya Namaste Pankajangrahe. Hare Krishna. So today we will read 32nd verse, right? So 32nd verse of 15th chapter of 1st canto. Nishamya Bhagavan Margam Nishamya Bhagavan Margam Samstham Yadukulasya Cha Samstham Yadukulasya Cha Swa स्वपथाय मतिं चक्रे स्वपथाय मतिं चक्रे निभृतात्मा युधिष्ठिरः निभृतात्मा युधिष्ठिरः निशम्य भगवन्मार्गं संस्थां यदुकुलस्य च स्वपथाय मतिं चक्रे निभृतात्मा युधिष्ठिरः निशम्य भगवन्मार्गं ఒక్క నిమిషం భగవాన్ కాదు భగవన్ నిశమ్య భగవన్మార్గం సంస్థాం యదుకులస్య చ స్వపథాయ మతిం చక్రే నిభృతాత్మా యుధిష్ఠిరః निशम्य भगवन्मार्गं संस्थां यदुकुलस्य च स्वपथाय मतिं चक्रे निभृतात्मा युधिष्ठिरः ప్రభు చెప్పండి మీరు నిశమ్య భగవన్మార్గం స్వపథాయ మతిం చక్రే నిభృతాత్మా యుధిష్ఠిరః निशम्य भगवन्मार्गं संस्थां यदुकुलस्य च स्वपथाय मतिं चक्रे निभृतात्मा युधिष्ठिरः निभृतात्मा युधिष्ठिरः माताजी कोशिश करो यू कैन ट्राई निशम्य भगवन्मार्गं स्वपथाय मतिं चक्रे निभृतात्मा युधिष्ठिरः। वेरी गुड माता जी आप भी बोलिए। आज पूरा खाली है टेम्पल, से सबके लिए समय है नहीं? ओके, so we'll read the translation, word to word meaning, purport, everything. Nishamya, deliberating. Bhagavat, regarding the Lord. Margam, the ways of his appearance. and disappearance. Samstham and Yadukulasya cha, of the dynasty of King Yadu. Cha, also Swaha, the abode of the Lord. Pathaya, on the way of. Matim, desire. Chakre, gave attention. Nibhritatma, lonely and alone. Yudhishthiraha, King Yudhishthira. Translation. Upon hearing of Lord Krishna's returning to his abode, and upon understanding the end of the Yadu dynasty's earthly manifestation, Maharaj Yudhishthira decided to go back home, back to Godhead. Purport. Maharaj Yudhishthira also turned his attention to the instructions of the Bhagavad Gita after hearing about the Lord's departure from the vision of earthly people. He began to deliberate on the Lord's way of appearance and departure. The mission of the Lord's appearance and disappearance in the mortal universe is completely dependent on His supreme will. He is not forced to appear or disappear by any superior energy, as the living beings appear and disappear, being forced by the laws of nature. Whenever the Lord likes, He can appear Himself from anywhere and everywhere without disturbing His appearance and disappearance in any other place. He is like the sun. The sun appears and disappears on its own accord at any place without disturbing its presence in other places. The sun appears in the morning in India without disappearing from the Western Hemisphere. The sun is present everywhere and anywhere all over the solar system, but it so appears that in a particular place the sun appears in the morning and also disappears at some fixed time in the evening. The time limitation even of the sun is of no concern. And so, what to speak of the Supreme Lord, who is the creator and controller of the sun? Therefore, in the Bhagavad Gita it is stated that anyone who factually understands the transcendental appearance and disappearance of the Lord by his inconceivable energy becomes liberated from the laws of birth and death and is placed in the eternal spiritual sky where the Vaikuntha planets are. There, such liberated persons can eternally live without the pangs of birth, death, old age, and disease. In the spiritual sky, the Lord and those who are eternally engaged in the transcendental loving service of the Lord are all eternally young because there is no old age and disease and there is no death. Sri Sri Radha Madhav ki jai, Sri Sri Gaur Nitai ki jai, Sri Sri Jagannath Baladeva Subhadra Maharani ki jai. Therefore, Maharaj Yudhishthira also began to consider going back to Godhead. The Lord appears on the earth or any other mortal planet along with his associates who live with him eternally, and the members of the Yadu family who were engaged in supplementing the pastimes of the Lord are no other than his eternal associates. And so also Maharaj Yudhishthira and his brothers and mother, etc. Since the appearance and disappearance of the Lord and his eternal associates are transcendental, one should not be bewildered by the external features of appearance and disappearance. Om Ajnanatimidandhasya Gnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mahyam Dadati Svapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Yuta Padakamalam Sri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakhan Vitamscha हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधो दीनबंधो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। मूकं करोति वाचालं पंगुं लंघयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुं दीनतारिणं परमानन्दमाधवं श्रीचैतन्यमीश्वरम्। Hare Krishna. So, Kalachakra Prabhu was mentioning this first canto to be like it makes the bhumika, ground to the Bhagavatam. And the main theme of this first canto is the leaving, he said. One after another, everyone leaves. So now, Yudhishthir Maharaj also, upon hearing Krishna left this mortal world, Yudhishthir Maharaj also decided to leave. Okay, here margam, nishamya means deliberating, Bhagavat margam. So the Lord's, the way in which, the path in which the Lord appears and disappears. How he appears and disappears? Tell one shloka like Lord's appearance and disappearance. आप दोनों के लिए प्रश्न है. हाँ प्रभु, Lord appearance and disappearance is very transcendental. जन्म कर्म च मे दिव्यम एवं यो वेत्ति तत्वतः त्यक्त्वा देहम पुनर्जन्म नैति मामेति सो अर्जुन. So, O Arjun, my birth and my activities are completely transcendental. Just we have to understand this one thing. Our life will become successful. So, for understanding that, we have to understand Krishna. Then only we understand that his activities are divyam. And we have to situate in that understanding all the time. So, Yudhishthir Maharaj is now in that understanding. So, when he meditated on Krishna, and he also remembered Bhagavad Gita, like all the teachings of Bhagavad Gita, and then he decided to leave. So now it appears leaving something means leaving the responsibilities. Yudhishthir was, who was Yudhishthir by then? What was he? What was he at that time? He was an emperor of the world. He had responsibility to take care of the whole world. He has established the dharma all across, in all four directions. He had such a huge responsibility. And he is leaving. My God. Leaving, giving up the responsibility. Is it good or bad? Giving up the responsibility is good or bad? Say Yudhishthir Maharaj, actually Krishna told him, no, you cannot cry, you should rule this country. You must become the king, you must wear the royal dress. Yes, higher purpose, not for sense gratification. Yeah, Yudhishthir Maharaj was never, we don't see anything in Yudhishthir's life that he did something for sense gratification. So, But Krishna told him to rule the country. Right? And now, after Krishna left, Krishna didn't give any instruction to Yudhishthir. Huh? Did he give anything? Did he send any message? Yudhishthir, now you can leave the country and come back to me. Did he tell? No. So quite often, we say independent decision is not good. You should not be independent. You should be taking instruction. So we have to have little broader perspective in this. I always give this, Prabhupada also would give this example. When a mango is on a tree, it should be with the tree until it is fully ripened. After it is ripened, it cannot stay. Its stem will gradually becomes yellowish and it becomes softer. And mango's weight will be bigger and bigger, like it will increase, it will become more heavier, and then it will fall. Now also fruits they are becoming softer and softer. So this is a principle. So now we have to live a life where we turn yellowish day by day. We should turn pandadam అని అంటాం in Telugulo. We have to get ripened in the Krishna consciousness. And in that ripened state, whatever you do, you will do perfect. There is no problem. So Yudhishthir Maharaj had trained his son, not son, the grandson, Pariksit Maharaj. So everything is all set. And they couldn't bear the separation, no matter of what, The minute they heard that Krishna has left, so even though there is so much responsibility, still they couldn't bear the separation. Strong feeling of separation. And at the same time, they were so matured, they know how to handle the situation. Okay? They know how to handle this. So he enthroned Pariksit Maharaj in time. And this should be the system. We should never think that I will sit in one place forever. We should always ready to accept. When you are matured, like you are a manager in a company, and when you are matured, people will make you senior manager. When you are matured, company will make you DGM. When you are matured, they will make you MD. And when you are matured, they will retire you and send you home. Isn't it? But are we ready to take up these changes? Generally, we won't. People will not, they are not ready to accept the change. And they want in their way. Things won't be in our way. Always, the world will be so dynamic. And in that world, there will be so many changes all the time. And Yudhishthir Maharaj observed this change. Krishna left. Then did he have any attachment? Even my grandson is ruling. Parents think, my son is becoming rich. But still, I also want to be rich, like Yudhishthir Maharaj. I want to be on the throne. Very strong notion will be there. Not only my sons, me is very, very strong in general. But so one must become ready to accept this change. When I get old, I will have a different duty. When I am a student, I will have a different duty. When I become an adult, I will have a different duty. When I get married, I will have a different duty. When I bear children, I will have different duty. When children are grown, I will have a different duty. So, in the materialistic world itself, our duties will keep on changing. And we should get adapted to that. Otherwise, if we are fixed in one place, then we will not have any progress in our life. So basically everyone will have two types of duties. One is conditional duty, another is constitutional duty. Okay? Conditional duties are pertaining to the body, connected to the body. Like you are a small boy, you will have some duties as a boy. And when you are grown old, you will have another duty. As a student, you will have some duty. As an employee, you will have any duty. You will. Does anyone remain a student all the life? I will be in the school all the life. No, right? You go out of the school, and then you will be. Then you have to find a job. That is another duty after completing education or some occupation. And then once you start doing that duty, then people will tell, no, you must marry. Or if you don't want to continue the job, and one can join in the temple as a brahmachari. So brahmachari has got a separate, different duty, right? So these are all the duties pertaining to the body, and then we render them. And these duties will keep changing. And as we get matured, we will be given a different duty. That's what in Gnana Yoga, you don't need to work. But when you are in a Karma Yoga stage, you have to do the work. So a Gnana Yogi need not work. Means he is already Gnani. He is completely ripened. And in that state, whether he works or it doesn't work, doesn't matter. But still, he works for the benefit of others. So like that, Yudhishthir Maharaj also worked for the benefit of others for so long time. But still they know when to relinquish even that also. Like Srila Prabhupada was preaching and preaching and preaching. And then he came back to Vrindavan. He could have prayed to Krishna, give me 10 more years. He was such a pure devotee. Give me 20 more years. But he decides what next. Okay, now it is, Prabhupada wanted to give a great teaching that how to live the body. He didn't have any anxiety that I am going to die, what will happen. We don't see any of such fear. But he wanted to show how to die, so he called all his disciples. See, Prabhupada loved all his disciples, and all his disciples loved him so much. People from all over the world came. Many disciples came to be with Prabhupada. And Prabhupada was giving them instructions from the practically deathbed, And he was giving instructions, and he was showing like his bodily symptoms, so weak and so sick. But still, whenever he is in conscious state, he will be dictating Bhagavatam. He will be translating. And his voice was still, so strong and so grave. And then all the disciples were watching every day. They are coming and taking darshan. They are singing kirtan for Prabhupada. And then he was kept on giving instructions to all the disciples. And then he has passed on the responsibility. He ensured that this movement will go on. And then he just left. See, ultimately, one day or other, we have to all follow the law given by the Lord. In the material world, everything is temporary. Nothing is permanent. So, we accept that law, and then we follow, and then we live. But when to live, when someone is very matured, he will understand. He decides whether to live or not to live. But when we are not matured and when we want to live, then what is? It's a kacha mango falling on the ground. Then immediately it will never get ripened. It will, छोटा सा मैंगो नीचे गिर गया तो क्या होगा, वो सड़ जाएगा, but it will not be ripened. So similarly, in our case also, we are highly immature in Krishna consciousness. Actually, all our activities mostly on a superficial platform. When the real test comes, how we respond to that test proves how much deeply we are Krishna conscious. So still our material conceptions are, ruling our life. Until then, we have to just stick on and follow the instructions given by the scriptures, instructions given by the guru, instructions given by the sadhus. Until then, we just have to follow what it is being told. Actually, there Yudhishthira Maharaj was also following the scriptures. I mean, according to scriptures, when a person is ready to rule, then you can, in old age, a king can leave his kingdom. He will not just stick on. He is perfectly following. But when to follow, that he has decided because he had enough maturity. So this, our life also, we should develop this kind of maturity. Maturity will come with proper Krishna conscious practice, We have to, when a plant is there, then you every day you water the plant, you protect it from the unwanted animals or anything, you fence it properly, you supply some, khad, manure, if needed you give some pesticides or whatever. All these things you give to grow a plant, and the fruit will come out nicely, and then it is. If there is some wind and everything, then you try to protect that also. And then when everything is perfect, you will have nice fruit. So similarly, in our life also, we have to protect ourselves. We have to water our devotion with chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra regularly, sincerely. And we have to protect ourselves from the aparadhas. So aparadhas are something like a plant getting attacked by the insects. What happens if a plant is attacked by insect? Then you will not have any produce. All the leaves and everything will be eaten by the insects, and then you will not have any fruit coming out. So we have to be so careful in not doing any aparadh in our life. As much as possible, we have to develop tapasya in the life. The 3 types of tapasyas. Can you open Bhagavad Gita 17:14? Hmm. 17:14. 14 also is there, Prabhu. It has come. Bhagavad Gita 17th chapter, 14th verse. Uchinda? Devadvija Guru Pragna Pujanam Shauchamarjavam Brahmacharya Mahimsacha Shariram Tapa Uchyate. So Devadvija Guru Pragna. Actually we see all this in the life of Yudhishthira Maharaj or any great devotee actually. Austerity of the body consists in worship of the Supreme Lord. The Brahmanas, the spiritual master, and superiors like father and mother. Deva means the Supreme Lord. Dvija means Brahmanas. Very important. Actually, Yudhishthira Maharaj was so respectful to Brahmanas, and when he was leaving for the forest, all the Brahmanas followed him. So 10,000 Brahmanas followed Pandavas. So every day Draupadi had to feed 10,000 Brahmanas. So luckily Surya Bhagavan gave her Akshaya Patra. So she was able to serve prasadam to 10,000 Brahmanas. But Brahmanas wanted to be with Yudhishthira Maharaj. Why? Because he was so much respectful. We should never ever think that I am giving him food. Whenever we do something for a Brahmana, we should never think I am giving. Actually, he is accepting from me. That's a great fortune. Some Brahmana is accepting something from us. It's our great fortune. That way we should think. Like temple is accepting donation from someone. That person should think it's my great fortune that temple has accepted some Lakshmi from my bank and they are using it in Krishna's service. We should be in that mood. If you don't give it, nobody is going to threaten you or nobody is going to force you to give, isn't it? So, the devotees facilitate that opportunity. The Brahmanas facilitate the opportunity to purify us by engaging in the service. That's why it's very important to give respect to the Brahmanas and the spiritual master. Spiritual master means in ISKCON especially, immediately our mind will be focused on to the Diksha Guru. No, spiritual master means anybody who has given us some spiritual instruction is spiritual master. When we are learning something from someone, is either Shiksha Guru or Diksha Guru, doesn't matter. But we should be so respectful. That's why in ISKCON temple, we should treat all the devotees like spiritual masters only. Because we are listening to the classes of different devotees, isn't it? And we should develop that respect to the devotees. We should be very respectful to the devotees. And then the superiors, specifically superiors, all the elderly people, we should give the respect to the age also. Whenever somebody who is elder to us, we should always be respectful to them. This is the culture. We should not transgress this culture. Whether he is very powerful person or is not powerful person, but we should be respectful. And sometimes, it's difficult when you see some elderly person doing some wrong thing, but still we should be respectful to their age. And that is the austerity. It's very easy to blaspheme someone, very easy to disrespect someone. But we have to control our mind and body and everything and respect them. That is the austerity of the body. And father and mother. Especially mother and father. They are very close to us. Yesterday Prabhuji was telling, familiarity breeds contempt. We see faults in the mother, father, and then sometimes we shout. People fight with the mother, father, isn't it? They shout at mother and father. Then it's not correct. Even if they are faulty. Mother-in-law and father-in-law also. Okay? Even if they are faulty, we should be respectful to them. We can correct, that's a different thing. But within the core of our heart, we should not lose respect to the elders. You look at Yudhishthira Maharaj. How much respectful he was for Yudhishthira Maharaj. Can we imagine? Actually, Dhritarashtra was trying to kill Bhimsen without shame. Krishna knew, that's why Bhima was saved. Otherwise, Bhima would have been killed in the hug of the Dhritarashtra. Right? Very heinous, very wrong. But how Yudhishthira Maharaj was thinking? because we killed their sons. They are so much in agony. You know, that agony is expressed against us. Actually, he's supposed to kill us. No problem if he kills us. Still, now his anger is controlled. After that, even if Yudhishthira Maharaj goes in front of him, he wouldn't do that. Only that initial anger was so much strong. Even when Pandavas were going to face Gandhari, Krishna said, no, you don't go first. Let me go. Gandhari was also so much in agony after losing her 100 sons. And then Gandhari cursed Krishna. Your Yaduvamsha will be destroyed, because you destroyed all my sons. So you people also will get destroyed. Krishna said, thank you very much. That is what is my plan. That is what is my plan. But Pandavas should be very angry towards Gandhari for cursing Krishna. But it is understood that this person is in so much agony, and in that agony it is very natural for someone to express anger. So they didn't take it so seriously. And after that they took care of them so nicely, and Dhritarashtra remained king. That's why Sanjay was addressing him king, Even though Yudhishthira Maharaj was ruling, but namesake the king was still Dhritarashtra only. That was the respect Yudhishthira Maharaj was rendering. When he was alive, when he was ruling, what character he has displayed. In our homes, if mother-in-law says something, then daughter-in-law will get, she will be inflamed, and then, no, today we go out, and then you get out or we get out. We separate the family. And no question, how can we live? Better we live separately and be happy, as if they are going to live happily, by being separate. So this is disrespecting elders, and then that brings forth so much of misfortune. People don't understand this secret. And you perform this austerity. And then brahmacharya ahimsacha. So ahimsa is not only just chopping someone, killing someone. Ahimsa means even hurting someone's feeling. It's very important. Prabhupada says ahimsa means when somebody is suffering and you are not even addressing his problem, that is also ahimsa. So we should live our life in such a way that I am ready to accept trouble for myself, but let me not cause trouble to others. This is austerity. We don't have to go and sit in the mountains and or under the jungles and do stand on one leg and do tapasya. Krishna didn't tell to do that tapasya. If someone is having lot of itch, he can go and do that. But Krishna is telling, do this austerity. What is that? Deva dvija guru pragna pujanam sauchamarjavam. Being clean is an austerity. Every day washing dhoti, washing kurta, nicely drying, folding it nicely, and then maintaining its cleanliness. You just don't throw everything. This is very important. Brahmacharyam. Brahmacharyam is not only for the brahmacharis, but for everyone actually. Brahmacharyam is for everyone. Brahmacharyam ahimsacha shariram tapa uchyate. So we become matured when we undergo tapasya. Tapasya is something like, if you want to ripen a mango, you take the mango and put in certain heat. Then it gets ripened. Isn't it? थोड़ा गर्मी atmosphere में रखे वो ripe हो जाता है. Austerity also brings heat in us. हमारे अंदर से गर्मी लाते हैं, and with that heat we get ripened. Without austerity, no question of maturity in the life. So we should live austere life. Life is not meant for enjoyment. नायम देहो देह भाजान लोके कष्टान कामान अर्हते विद्भुजाम्ये तपो दिव्यम पुत्रकायेन सत्वम शुद्धेद्य यस्मात् ब्रह्म सौख्यम त्वनंतम. If at all you want that Brahma Saukyam, then you have to do the tapasya. And that tapasya is basic tapasya. Krishna is not telling very complicated one, very basic. And that we should do. Next tapasya he says. Okay? I like these slokas very much. Next sloka, Prabhu. Anudvegakaram vakyam Satyam priyahitam chayat Swadhyayabhyasanam chaiva Vanmayam tapa uchyate. So anudvegakaram vakyam. So read the translation. Austerity of speech consists of speaking words that are truthful, pleasing, beneficial and not agitating to others. Okay? These four principles we should always remember. That means our tongue is not loose, tongue is very much doing tapasya. Generally in tapasya, you stretch your body, you don't let it loose. Similarly, we have to be always tight on our tongue. What to speak, how to speak, when to speak, why to speak. All these things we should be very much clear. So, first is, it should not be agitating to others. We should be so much, we should practice to speak so soft, very pleasing. इतना practice करना चाहिए. अगर हमारा किसी का मुंह खोलेगा तो ऐसा कठोर जैसे लगते हैं. उनका मुंह से हमेशा कठोर शब्द. In intermediate, I used to go to one of the friends' house for group studies. His father's voice, my God, used to be so harsh. I don't know whether he can speak softly with anyone. Generally, they will have the kirana shop, and then with so many customers will come, and then they will develop that habit of shouting. Generally, those who sit in the counters, those who handle so many people, they develop a nature of what do you call, restlessness? No. They get agitated so quickly, because repeated questions come and they have to answer the same thing again and again. So they get irritated so fast. And then that becomes a habit. Irritation becomes a habit, So anything you ask, they get irritated and they'll tell. So, but devotees should practice that I shall speak in such a way that it is not agitating to that opposite person. Very patiently. Always we should take the fault on our side instead of seeing the fault on the other side. Yudhishthira Maharaj didn't see fault on Dhritarashtra, even till the end. So he was taking fault on himself. So, if we develop this, then our speech automatically becomes softer. Generally, we keep ourselves in the center. I am the Bharta, Bhokta, Maheshwara. I am the Paramatma. I am everything. This is a usual mentality. But we have to change our consciousness, and we should be keeping Krishna in the center, and we should talk in such a way that it is not agitating. It's not that you should not show anger. Okay? You should show anger in a right place to the right person, not to anyone. Hanuman had shown anger to Ravanasur. Okay? And then the words should be truthful and pleasing. Pleasing is also very important. अच्छा बोल पाना कुछ कला है. Some people will have, like Jayananda Prabhu, Prabhupada's disciple. He was so nice to the devotees, not to the devotees, sorry, to everyone. He would go to government offices and get the job done. He'll speak so lovingly, so affectionately with the people, and he will be able to, suppose Rath Yatra permission, anything like, he will get it done. And they would always so much appreciative and they are so loving to Jayanand Prabhu. So one after some time, Jayanand Prabhu had cancer and then he left his body. And then one devotee went to an office for some work. And then that officer asked about Jayanand Prabhu. And then when the devotee said Jayanand Prabhu left, that officer cried, Not much relation with Jayanand Prabhu, but when he heard that Jayanand Prabhu left his body because of cancer, officer cried. That means how much deep impression he would have made in that officer. So for that, what could have been his behavior? How nice and how sweet, how genuine his behavior would have been. We should develop that genuinity. It's not pleasing artificially, artificial smile. This is not we are recommending. Krishna is not telling that artificial thing. So we should be able to love those other people. And then we should always have concern to those people and then speak so nicely, pleasing to them. If I'm harsh to them, this person will go away. Go away means what? Go away from Krishna. Go away from Krishna. That means we are doing so much violence actually. So we should be pleasing and we should be truthful also. We don't need to speak lies. We should be truthful. And then when we can speak truth, when we regularly recite Vedic literature, when we regularly read Vedic literature. What is the truth? Your Atma is the truth. And when we can tell that very nicely, when we are regularly reading Gita, otherwise, we ourselves will get lost in the material waves, isn't it? And then this is the austerity for the tongue. Okay, then the next sloka. Austerity of the mind. Manah prasada saumyatvam Maunamatma vinigraha Bhava samshuddhirityetat Tapo manasamuchyate. Yeah, in the previous verse, Vanmayam, there for the tongue, regular reciting the shlokas, regularly reading the scriptures is a tapasya. That's why at least ISKCON devotees should be very, very familiar with the scriptures, with the shlokas, with some Prabhupada quotes or anecdotes. This is a tapasya for the tongue. अच्छा तरीके से श्लोका बोलना is not ordinary. It's not easy. Manah prasad Manamatma vinigraha. Is there any toughness in this? मेरा टंग नहीं बोल पाते हैं प्रभु जी. मैं नहीं बोल पाता हूँ. Some people say सा के लिए शा बोलेंगे, दा के लिए डा बोलेंगे. ऐसा उल्टा. They are not doing tapasya to learn. So this tapasya is required for us to become matured. And then what is a tapasya for the man? And satisfaction. Please listen to this. Satisfaction, simplicity, gravity, self-control and purification of one's existence are the austerities of mind. So first thing is satisfaction. What we should be satisfied with what we get on its own accord. If we start searching for something is not there, we will be craving for the material things. We should never crave for the material things. What you get, just take it. इसलिए कभी हम स्पेशली जाके मेरे को ये चाहिए करके पूछने का कल्चर कंप्लीटली नहीं रहना चाहिए. What we get is the best करके सोचना चाहिए. कई लोग मेरे को ये पोजीशन चाहिए, मेरे को ज़्यादा पैसा चाहिए, मेरे को ये चाहिए वो चाहिए. And generally crying babies always will be given something or other. रोया बच्चे रोएगा तो क्या करते हैं, देना पड़ता है. That means we are children. Only children cry. A matured person will not cry, isn't it? So we should never cry for the material things. We can cry for Krishna, but not for material things. On the material platform, tapasya is for the material things, right? Tapasya on the material platform, and that tapasya should be satisfaction. जो मिलता है उसे खुश होकर रहना चाहिए, कभी रोना नहीं चाहिए. कोई चिल्लाया हमारे ऊपर, कोई हमको दुख पहुंचाया, उससे भी सैटिस्फाई होकर रहना चाहिए. कठिन है, वही ऑस्टेरिटी है. When someone shouts at us because of my previous karma, is shouting at me and is insulting me, and some of my karma is washed off, and this is what Krishna wants me to have and be satisfied. Okay? And you may lose money or you may gain money, whatever. Actually, for that we should regularly recite the shlokas, we should regularly read the scriptures. Then we will not be on a material platform, we will be on the spiritual platform. Automatically, we are satisfied in all circumstances. And then next, simplicity. Simplicity, no, not to have much complexity in our mindset. You know, mind इतना सोचते हैं, इतना घुमा के, but in the mind, we should be very simple. सरल होना चाहिए. जो बोलते हैं वो करना है, जो करते हैं वो बोलना है. उल्टा सीधा करने का कोई ज़रूरत नहीं है. We are not here to impress anyone. And by cheating others, we are getting entangled into this material world. Why we need to cheat? We don't have to cheat with anyone. Krishna is the biggest cheater. Then Krishna can cheat us even in a worse way. You know, why we should get into it? Simple. And gravity. And how to say gravity? Maunam. Means unnecessary talking will reduce our value anywhere. Generally, I have that disease. You know, I'll just go on talking. But generally, those people who maintain silence will have higher gravity. Unnecessarily, they don't lose a single word. That's also maunam. Means it's a grave way of, one should be grave. And then Atma Vinigraha means self-control. Mind will go here, there, ask so many things, but we should control that mind and then tell the mind that you are not going to gain all those things. You have to be satisfied with what is given by Krishna. Bas, nothing else. I am not going to demand anything from anyone. Asking someone means you should immediately, oh, I am a baby, that's why actually I am crying and asking. Whenever you have to ask someone, then you have to recognize your status that I am a baby. Then you should go to that Prabhu. Prabhu, I am really agitated. Consider me like a baby and I want this, Prabhu. We should approach like that. But demanding, no question. We should never be like that. It's my hak. ऐसा करके कभी भी नहीं रहना चाहिए. Okay? Sometimes, when you are really agitated, you can go and ask, but ask like a child. Don't pose like, बड़ा आदमी जैसे. जब भी तुम पूछ रहे मतलब तुम बच्चा है. And recognize your state. I am a बच्चा. I am asking. That's still to some extent okay. Okay. And samshuddhi means purification. मन को हमेशा purification में लगाना चाहिए. And that purification takes place when we chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Mind goes here, there, mind will tell give so many options, but still we have to chant. At least what we are promised, what we have given promise. So that way we should do the austerity. And Yudhishthir Maharaj, actually, he was doing tapasya, bol nahi sakte hai, but in his life he was exhibiting all these qualities. And he was fully matured by that time. And then he can take independent decision. And then whatever is needed to be done, he will do, and then he will leave the kingdom. And then all other Pandavas also follow, and then all of them wanted to go back to Krishna. Ultimately, we want to be with Krishna. So it doesn't mean that Yudhishthira Maharaj, Arjun were not with Krishna. They were living in the instructions of Bhagavad Gita. But for everything there is a time, and in that time one can aspire to live directly with Krishna also, when that time comes, when that maturity comes. Now Pandavas are in that state, and then they just left the kingdom, left the materialistic, all materialistic things, and then they wore only some cloths made from the bark, and then no king dress. If they go out and someone watches them, nobody can recognize that he is Yudhishthira Maharaj. So in that Vesha, then they walk towards the north, and then they all attain Krishna in the end. So that is leaving of Yudhishthira, and we also take lessons from Yudhishthira, and then we should prepare for that. We should prepare for that, but abhi kuch nahi karna hai. Uske liye preparation, we should take this time as preparation. Otherwise, immaturity rahega. Okay? Hare Krishna. My class is totally unprepared. Forgive me if I have spoken something, if I blabber something which is not appropriate. So please bless me, so that my mind, I also engage myself in these austerities and become mature enough. Okay? Hare Krishna. Question probably.
Excellent purport actually to this shloka of this austerity of the mind. And one of the points actually he has written that satisfaction of the mind can be obtained only by taking the mind away from thoughts of sense enjoyment. Then Prabhupada has written that the more we think of sense enjoyment, the more the mind becomes dissatisfied. But usually we are thinking opposite, isn't it? That when we will do this sense enjoyment, the mind will be satisfied. But actually Prabhupada here completely
Opposite.
Has written opposite.
We have to raise from material platform, and at least we have to situate on a spiritual platform. I mean, sense enjoyment is on completely gross material platform. But if you don't aspire for that, and then our goal is not this, our goal is to please Krishna, then we get connected with Krishna. Yuktaha. Yesterday I was giving class on karmaya paschet akarmanicha karmaya sabuddhiman manusyesu sayukta. So that person will be dovetailing all his activities with Krishna. So that process we have to be always in that sayukta state. Then when we are connected with Krishna, automatically we experience satisfaction. Always we should have fixed service, like 9 o'clock I will do this service, 10 o'clock I will do this service, 11 o'clock I will do this service. Continuously we should be occupied all the day in Krishna's activity. And then laziness, there won't be any place for the laziness. And in the night also, the sleep also, like we should decide, like I must sleep this much. We are deciding, it's not body is pulling, let me go and sleep now. You have service till maybe 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock. You can't sleep before that. So like that, if you fix after 10 o'clock I will rest, then laziness will not come. And another way is always be with the association of devotees. So even if we forget to do something, then devotees will push us. Please get up, Prabhu, let us go for Mangalarti. Then we can overcome. But I feel we should fix ourselves in rules and regulations voluntarily. Nobody can force us. Tomorrow we want to walk away from the temple, who will force us? Isn't it? So we have to voluntarily fix ourselves in this. Jaisa, if you want to keep a structure in a shape, there will be jigs and fixtures in Fixture will be there, and then it will not let you in another shape. It will fix you in that shape. So we also fix in such fixture of the rules. Then we will be saved. And then in due course of time, we develop the taste to those rules and everything, and then automatically we cannot be lazy anymore. No chance. Of course, laziness also may be in different levels, but at least basic thing can be addressed. Laziness can be even in mental level, mentally we will have some misconceptions, and we will be so lazy to deeply meditate on and then refine those concepts sometimes. That is also a kind of laziness. Somebody is having communistic ideology, and he will be so lazy to hear other ideology or other philosophy. So he will remain like that only. Yes, Prabhu.
How to get rid of duplicity? I mean, that this Prabhupada has written here that the mind should be devoid of duplicity, and then one should think about the welfare of
simplicity
all others.
Will help us. See, I feel when we recite Tranadapi Shunechena Tarurava Sahishnuna Amanina Manajena Kirtanaya. So when we consider ourselves with lower than blade of grass, what duplicity you can have? You're all, suppose I am lusty person. I'm very niche. Just go and tell I am very, very niche person. You don't have to tell I am very scholarly person, I am great. So you are already submitting that you are very low. After that, there can't be any chance of duplicity. But within the core of our heart, we don't develop that. We don't nurture that feeling, that humbleness we don't nurture. Then artificially we wanted to show that I am superior to you. This is a problem. Otherwise, we don't need to be duplicitous to anyone. We should be very... actually all these points are also interconnected. When you accept anything that comes on its own accord, then you don't have to try specially to get something. People are duplicitous because they want something to gain from this world, even though they are not qualified, or even they are doubtful of getting that, So you don't even aspire for that. Don't aspire anything from the material world. No puja, no labha, no pratishtha, no dhana, no... what is the next? Na dhanam, na janam, na sundarim, kavitam va jagadisha kamaye, mama janmane janmaneshware. Don't aspire anything from this material world, then you can remain non-duplicitous. But when we have the bhoga lalasa, then all these things will come and, cover us up. And then we get buried in the materialism. Isn't it? So, that's why Shikshastakam prayers should become the basis of our all life. I don't know.
Yeah,
you can give better
Prabhu.
answer, Prabhu.
Yeah, thank you. One short question. When Yudhishthira Maharaj handled the kingdom to Pariksit Maharaj, do you have some idea in what age at the time was Pariksit Maharaj? He had to be very young, I think. Yeah.
Actually, they ruled 36 years or something. Some time frame is there. They ruled quite good time after Yudhishthira Maharaj became the king. So by then Pariksit Maharaj was born, right? By that, so Yudhishthira Maharaj ruled
around 40 years.
Kuch to diya hai na, some years were given, right? Huh? Some years, some span is given, and after that, like Krishna left this world, and then Yudhishthira Maharaj left. So by then, at least he was 30 plus. I remember somewhere reading 36 or something, but I'm not very sure.
Yeah, but Yudhishthira Maharaj, he was ruling 36 years, I think.
Yeah.
After
that,
Krishna.
36 or some years, exact
yeah.
number I don't remember. Maybe we have to search. After that, Pariksit Maharaj took over the kingdom. So he was properly adult and he was very fully trained. He was not a small baby or anything. And they also, Vajranabha also became king at that time. Isn't it? Vajranabha, Pariksit Maharaj makes Vajranabha and Janamejaya 2 kings. I think so. Anyhow, I don't remember everything. So, one side Krishna's, Yadu's family also, Vajranabha will rule. And then other side, Pariksit Maharaja's descendant Janamejaya rule. So during Vajranabha's time, lot of Krishna's temples were erected. That's what the history says. Vajranabha's time. Okay, we'll stop. Thank you all very much. Yes, quick.
Prabhuji, how can we like pleasing and at the same time how can we become gravity?
No, preaching is also a gravity activity. So when you are preaching, you should be always talking about Krishna. You see, Maunam is for the material talk.
But still, he didn't compromise, actually. So he was speaking the truth, but for them, it wasn't pleasing. So how we can deal in such a situation?
Actually, he was
people were not prepared to hear the truth, actually. But he had to tell the truth.
Their anudvega, if they are normal, there was not creating any disturbance in them. But their positions were at stake. He was telling, Jati Goswamis. Jati Goswami was criticizing Jati Goswami. So if you are born in the Goswami family, like some Goswami will become a heroine and then she will dance half naked. How can she be Goswami? Isn't it? So he was inciting the intelligence in them, and they were not prepared to heed to it because their positions are at stake, their properties are at stake. If people stop giving value to them, then they will lose everything. So just if you are born in a Brahman family, then everybody will fall at your feet. So he didn't accepted that. Brahman means he should live like a Brahman also at the same time. So that can create agitation in the Brahmins. Okay, but it is for the right cause, so not a problem. I don't see any problem in it. And that anudvega will purify them, then they'll start thinking. Now, so many Brahmins, they recognize that we are not Brahmins anymore because we are not doing anything. We are doing Sandhya Vandan, nor do we practice so seriously. So, we are just caste Brahmins. And those who are ISKCON devotees, they are real Brahmins. Many people, when our Guru Maharaj goes to Srirangam, the Srirangam temple head pujari respects our Guru Maharaj like he pays obeisances. Maharaj is coming from a foreign country, from Lecha country. But the head pujari of Srirangam bows down to Maharaj. So many Brahmins recognize. So, but some people may get agitated. There will be always some agitation when you want to do some manthan.
Yeah, this is the difference actually between genuine Brahmana and, as you told, caste Brahmana, isn't it?
Yeah.
Their position at stake means they're not.
So that's why it was a time of, what do you call? The churning of the ocean. So when you churn, there will be agitation. See, here the whole point is that agitation is not for your sake. When you are creating agitation for your sake, then you are at fault. Anudvega karam vakyam. Generally when we talk, our pride will cause agitation in others. That is, our superiority complex, our proprietorship nature. These things will cause agitation in others. So, we should be very, very careful in talking with properly controlled tongue. I think in that context this works. But Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, Srila Prabhupada was actually, they were cutting people, they're chopping very strong, takak, takak, like that, they're cutting the words and cutting the egos of the people. That is for the benefit of others. So there, that agitation is always good. When we also preach, we should see, like, how much we should cut. And ultimately the goal is to bring people to Krishna. So Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati did. And don't think, people are agitated by Bhakti Siddhanta. Thousands of people joined Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati. So many sannyasis were there in his company, right? And there were people from Brahman community, there were people from different communities. Rich and aristocratic boys joined Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati. They dedicated their lives. So, in that churning, he was not doing for anything himself. Otherwise, when somebody talks to him personally, he will be very kind and merciful, like Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati. Or even Prabhupada was so kind. He speaks rascal and, last Wednesday class, how many times rascal came in his class. But he was so kind. That's why disciples were so much attached. So many, thousands of people were so much attached to Srila Prabhupada. Even we are all attached to Srila Prabhupada, so much. How much he must be loving. So we should have that common sense. For me, I will never cause agitation in others. That way. And even in preaching also, we should be very balanced. Sometimes you may tell little strongly, and looking at the person, sometimes you will speak softly. The purpose is to bring the person to Krishna consciousness. Purpose is not, this is my style, Then there is no austerity there. There is no austerity. But if you are keeping the purpose and using your tongue, then it is austerity. That way. So they were having purpose, and then they have used their tongue, they have used their pen, they have used their intelligence and mind, everything.
They were very pure.
They were very, very
point,
pure.
Therefore they could speak
they
like
were
that.
very, very pure, extremely pure. So in our case, we have to be very much, do this austerity, become mature, and then in that mature state, what you do, that all will be Krishna conscious. Okay, we'll stop. Thank you all very much for your patient hearing. Granthra Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam ki, Srila Prabhupada ki, Nitai Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari. Srila